Hi guys, Oluwatosin here. Welcome back to my channel. So I already dropped the cutting tutorial of this bustier blouse with this snatched waistline. In case this is the first one you are coming across, there's the part 1 to this video, which is the cutting tutorial. I'll be putting the link up and it will also be in the description box. It's just the video before this one. So I transferred my pattern to my main fabric. I did all of that in the previous video, but I'm just going to talk about it briefly. I added my sewing allowance. I added ½ inch round, and to the side where I'm going to be shaping it, I added 2 inches allowance. Then I made sure that the center front is on fold of 2 before I cut for the front, and then for the back as well, I transferred my pattern to the main fabric. I added ½ inch allowance to all the sides and up and down, and to the side where I'll be shaping, just like in the case of the front, I added 2 inches allowance. And don't forget that this my bustier has zip at the back, so there is zip allowance in mine. If you also now have zip at the back, you just have to ignore the zip allowance part. So to start joining this together, that's to start sewing all of these pieces together. Okay, so for the record, I made mine with Mikado fabric and cotton lining. So after taking out my pattern paper from my main fabric, I'll be pinning my main fabric together and the lining together as well. So I love to start my joining from the down, so I'll just go ahead to pinning from the down. I'll be pinning one side of the lining to the other side of the lining. Then I'll face right side on right side and pin the other side of the lining to the other side of the lining. I'll do the same thing to the main fabric. I'll pin one side of the main fabric to the other side of the main fabric. Please, while you are pinning, make sure that right side is facing right side. Then I'll do the same thing to this other piece of the back panel. When I'm done doing this, I'll bring the front panel and then I'll start pinning. I'll pin lining to lining and the main fabric to the main fabric. So the two sides of the front panel, I'll be pinning it on each side of the center front. So I'll pick my center front. I'll face right side of one side of the front to the right side of the center front. Then I'll pin it. Like I said, I love to start my joining from the down, so I'll be pinning from the down. Then I'll pin the other side of the front panel to the other side of the center front of the front panel. I hope that what I'm saying is you're understanding what I'm saying. I'll repeat the same process to the lining, and when I'm done pinning all of this, I'll take all these pieces to my sewing machine and stitch them together. After stitching them together, I'll give them a very good press and bring it back to show you guys what it's looking like. So when I was done stitching and pressing, this is what it's looking like. So I've arranged it, and the next thing to do is to mark the strap, or to measure the strap that is going to be for the sleeve. So firstly, I'll be putting my under bust measurements under the bust. You can obviously spot the under bust because where the cup stops is the under bust. So I'll be putting the under bust measurements there. Then I'll measure upward. So whatever is up after the beginning of my top, I hope that's clear. I'll multiply it by 2. That's going to be the measurement for the strap. So I'm going to mark an armhole as well. This person's armhole is 22. So at this point, I just marked 9. Then, so that I can correctly get where the armhole is going to pass. No, this is an off shoulder. I had to like draw an imaginary shoulder. Like I had to draw an imaginary shoulder on the table. You can see me doing that. So I just drew an imaginary shoulder. Since I already know the length from where the top stops to the shoulder line, I drew that, and then on that shoulder, on that my imaginary shoulder that I marked, I'll proceed to measuring a shoulder. It's just like me saying I drew an imaginary yoke. So on that yoke, I'll measure a shoulder so that I can know where the armhole is coming from on the shoulder line, so that I can know where the armhole is going to pass through on this my bustier that is a tube. I hope that's clear. So I proceeded to doing that, and then I cut out the armhole. The next thing to do is to mark my zip allowance on this back panel. I marked my zip allowance, I folded that inward. If yours is not going to have zip, you just have to omit this part. You just measure directly. Now I'm trying to measure the width and the length of the modesty panel, because I'm still going to open that line that I joined. That is where I'll be stitching my modesty panel inside. So after folding in my zip allowance, you're going to measure your modesty panel. So I measured mine, and then you measure the length as well. After measuring the breadth, I measured the length of the modesty panel. So the modesty panel, whatever I'm measuring here, I'll be adding 1 inch allowance because I will turn it and then I will stitch it inside my dart. So I'll be using half inch for that. Then I measure the length. It will start from where this my tape rule is starting from. It will start from like 1.5 inch before the up, and then it will stop like 1 inch before the whole length of my blouse. So I proceeded to cutting out after measuring. I cut it out on fold like this. So I will turn all the sides that are opened. I'll do the same thing to the other side. You have to cut two modesty panel for each side. Don't forget I said my own modesty panel is going to be outside the zip, like at the back of the top. The next thing after this is to mark the lines where I'll be stitching my bony on. I'll be stitching my bony on my lining. So this is my lining. I folded the zipper allowance inward first. The bony is going to be 1 inch shorter than the top and 1 inch shorter than the whole length of this blouse. So I just marked where I want my bony to be. One is going to be on the dart itself, and I added three lines of bony on each side of the back. For the front as well, it will start 1 inch from the whole length of the blouse, or 1.5 inch from the whole length of the blouse, and then it will stop a little bit before the under bust. So I proceeded to marking all the lines where I want the bony to be, and then I attached my bony to the lining. We are attaching our bony to the lining, please. The next thing to do after this is to attach the modesty panel. So this is the modesty panel. I already turned it, so I'll just proceed to opening up my dart and then stitching my modesty panel back inside my dart. So when I was done doing that, this is what it's looking like at this point. Then the strap that I cut after measuring the length, I made it 4.5 inches wide because this person wants a strap a little bit wide, so that after turning it to be 2 inches. So you'll be attaching the strap, because we'll be turning the strap together with the neckline so that everywhere can come out neat when we are done sewing. So attach the strap on the front and then the back, and proceed to turning the neckline for front, neckline for back. You will turn the two sides as well, and then you will turn it out from the down, because we are going to be piping the down when we are done sewing. So when I was done doing this thing, I said it came out looking like this at this point. You can see that the strap, which is serving as the sleeve, is turned together with the blouse, like it's turned inside the blouse so that it can be as neat as possible. When you are done doing this, you can now pipe the down of your blouse. You are going to be piping it separately. You pipe for one side of the back panel, the other side of the back panel. Then you pipe for the front panel as well. After piping, proceed to fixing your zip if yours is going to have zip, like I've been saying. And when you are done fixing zip, basically we are done joining. So the next thing, we are done sewing. The next thing to do is just to attach the drape. So for this drape, it is best done on your clients or whoever you are making this blouse for, so that you can get the perfect fit for the drape, or you just get somebody similar to the measurement and drape it on the person. So you are going to start your draping from the back. I started my draping from the back. So I stitched here first, then I measured the part that is going to fall on the arm, depending on how much you want it to fall on the arm, and then you stitch it on the armhole at the front. Then you can now drape your tulle or whatever fabric you are using to make the drape, and then after perfectly draping, you stitch on the armhole at the front on the other side, and you determine how much you want it to drop, and then you stitch at the back just like we did for the other side. So when I was done doing all these things, I said I just proceeded to using this crystal bead to embellish it. My blouse came out looking like this. I hope this video has been helpful and interesting to someone. Don't forget that the cutting of this blouse is in the link in the description box below, and it's just the video before this one on my channel. So this is what the back of this blouse is looking like I said, the modesty panel is on top of the zip outside, so you're going to be seeing the modesty panel first before you see the zip. Then this blouse, you can either wear it like this on this skirt, or you can also pair it with an inner. I made a detailed video on how to cut this inner. I will put in the link up as well, and also in the description box in case you're interested in seeing that. And for this particular inner I made, you can either wear it like this, that the front, like the front can be like this, or you can as well wear the back to the front. So when you are wearing the back of this inner to the front, this is what is going, this when you are wearing the front to the front, this is what is going to look like. But when you are wearing the back to the front, this is what is looking like. This is what the back looks like when you're wearing it to the front. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.